Welcome back to the University of Nottingham, where the weather's taken another turn. We had a little bit of sunlight earlier on, and now the clouds have descended and the temperature's dropped. But on the field, the excitement is there, and you might just be able to see creeping below us the Springbok flag, and that is because it is South Africa against Wales here in the women's under-18s competition. Well, Joe, we've seen a lot of Wales today in various different guises, and I think we're pretty excited to see them in action now in the women's competition at the under-18 level.
Yeah, for sure. And if all the other age groups are anything to judge by, this Wales side will be very well drilled, very fast, very technical with good core skills. We've seen the South African side before. Very good natural ability, just maybe lacking a little bit of structure in attack, and we'll see if the coaches have been able to fix that in the break and see if they can really take it to this Wales side.
And the thing with South Africa to keep an eye out for in terms of whether they have over the course of the day just being able to tweak a couple of things is the way that they work through on transition and getting those subs done, because that was where they found the going tough earlier on.
Yeah, definitely. And transition is one of those areas where, although it is such an influential part of the game, it is also one of them where sometimes it is just little fixes. People staying on for an extra touch, being able to recycle the hands better. So we'll see if they've been able to put the time off to good use. I mean, first look at the transition, it's looking a lot smoother, able to take drives up the box very well, and they draw the offside penalty. So if that's anything to go by, then that transition has been sorted by the coaching staff.
Certainly looks that way in the early stages, doesn't it? South Africa had 7 on, but seemed to have kind of got away with it.
Yeah, I think if that winger had tapped the ball for the penalty, then it would have been given 7 on almost immediately. But because the play was stopped for the penalty, she gets away with it. But this is what we saw too much of South Africa doing, just playing the ball around in areas where they probably shouldn't be. Just need to take the ball down. You need to get to that 7 first, and then you can start messing around with it.
We've got a referee here, actually. He's got a bit of strapping on the side of the right knee, so hopefully she's okay.
Refs get hurt too.
Never nice to see an injured ref. You always think of them as infallible.
South Africa at the moment making some very good touches on the line, although just a little bit unorganised. Really good touch there and good defensive set. There's something I've got to compliment South Africa on, is they're able to scramble really well in D. And it might not be a conventional way of defending plays, but it works for them. And that's all that matters.
It certainly does. Again, though, early signs of what we saw last time we saw South Africa, just struggling with who should be getting the ball when they make that transition. But they've managed to get away with it this time and sweep up the field with a decent bit of pace, and now they're up to the 7 and out of touches, but they got there in the end.
Yeah. Much better actually to get to the 7. You know, something that we've seen from South Africa is they get 3/4 of the way there and then just slow down, almost thinking about the strike plays before they're in the right areas to actually go for him. Whereas there they drove, got to the 7, unfortunately just lost track of the touch count. Oh, I thought she was going to ghost through there, but I think the touch has been called and she's being made to go all the way back. Good touch. And again, the defensive spacing from South Africa seems pretty solid. This is 5th touch, so they've got no touches to play with, do Wales. That South Africa just have to hold the space. And they do so well. Good early meters made. 2nd touch now right up to the box, and they're getting the fresh legs on, and it seems to be working a little bit better, although some of the fresh legs just late to be getting on the pitch. We're here now. They can inject some pace into the attack. They look for the cut. Cut is made, but again, that 6th touch and turnover, just losing track of the touch count. But the transition seems to be moving at least a lot more positive than we saw before.
Yeah, there's a bit more energy and zip about it, isn't there? It feels like a key part of the game to have as much energy as you can around.
Yeah, definitely. And we often say to players as well, the harder you work to get off the pitch, the easier it is for the players coming on. So you really got to give them that, give them a good platform. And something you'll hear a lot of people say in touch is when they're subbing off in their transition, it's like, give us a good platform, give us something to work with. And South Africa are really improving in that area. And they've done well so far to hold Wales out.
Yeah, they have. They've defended very nicely, haven't they? It's impressive start. And the tram goes past in the background. We're right on the edge of the tram line here at the University of Nottingham.
It reminds me of that football stadium in Poland that has the train track going through the middle of it.
I thought you were going to say the new Premier League club, Luton Town, and their entrance through the housing block.
Oh, lovely. Good hands. 2-on-1. She doesn't need the extra player. She goes by herself, but it's going to get brought back for a touch and pass, unfortunately. And there's the first threat of what South Africa can do in open play.
Astra Mahmood is going to be absolutely hopping mad with the referee that this one's coming back. She thought she'd been home and hosed for a brilliant try, but nothing doing.
The space was worked really well. They'd sucked Wales in, but brilliant defensive intervention just to get the touch and pass call, and really well spotted by the referee. Some of those go marginally and don't get called, but the referee's hot on it. And now Wales with a very good transition, just being slowed up slightly by a dominant touch. It's his fifth touch. Bit static. And South Africa crowd it out very well, but Wales will get the penalty. First real opportunity here for Wales to stress the South African line. 32 short runner at the line. Ball just goes to ground. And South Africa get let off there. And a very fast turnover to get them into the transition.
Good display so far from South Africa.
Yeah, much improved to what we saw, really does. Brilliant meters made up the box. And again, now they'll have a touch. Someone needs to scoop. Scooper comes, pops it up. Defenders are retreating. Oh, if that ball could have gone to the wing, then the winger was in all sorts of space. But South Africa showing they're here to play.
Certainly are. South Africa really putting the frighteners on Wales at the moment. Hard to believe this is a 0-0 game at the moment, because it feels as though there's been opportunities aplenty for both sides.
Yeah, definitely, and both defences just scrambling really well. I mean, South Africa obviously got over the line that was brought back for a touch and pass. Wales yet to really have that clear-cut opportunity. South Africa defending really well, especially against the scoop. That'll be a touch and pass. And South Africa again, just much improved and showing how much work you can do in a day. From, you know, a game this morning to now, I mean, the side looks completely changed. Much more direct, much more speed in their transition, and now the fresh legs come on. And again, one touch to Scoop. Lovely cut, getting behind the middle. Scoop is there. Winger's on, can she find the winger? Yes, she can, and South Africa will open the score, and they are ecstatic for it.
Kylie Barrow with the try. And South Africa demonstrating just how much they have picked up from their performance earlier on this morning. And now they are putting a side we know have a lot of quality under real pressure and have the 1-0 lead thanks to Kylie Barrow.
Yeah, similar to what we saw the girls' 20s do to England for South Africa, is those late cuts just before the touch to create the extra metre of separation, and then you're able to dump in behind offside defenders, and you've got 6 metres to run to the line, and they've got 9 metres to run backwards, and you know that's a recipe for disaster for the defending team. And as long as South Africa can keep Wales out here, they've put themselves in really good stead. Good touch. Good touch, just getting off the line. Ball actually probably is grounded on the boot of the South African player. And Wales will have a touch or two to play with. Desperate for the equaliser.
Wales close to the line, but to focus on the first task, and that was just holding on to that ball that was in danger of spilling away from Amy Garrett. She did well to reel it back in. 6 touches made though, so South Africa continue this impressive first half display.
It's a really brilliant heads-up play to recognise that the middle's offside, and she plays right through. I've got to say, the South African side is very impressive so far. Oh, lovely speed. Can she go all the way through? Good covering touch. And they're threatening every time they get into this final phase. And, you know, we said at the start of the game, the transition was the area that South Africa really struggled with in the first game. And now it seems to be the area that they're finding all of their success from. And this is 5th touch. They'll have no touches to play with, but I've got a feeling we'll see a fair few cuts.
It was Erin Venter that went close, and I think they all thought they'd use them up, but they've got one final go in this possession. Comes to nothing, but they won't mind that too much. Still 1-0 to South Africa, and Wales working towards their box, but just needing a little bit of invention in their play, probably.
Yeah, at the moment South Africa are able to just send single shooters up to shut down Wales, and Wales don't really have the confidence of hands to play around them. Then South Africa just enjoying their work in defence, engaging defenders, engaging attackers, and then making the touch and really backing themselves to not get passed around. And at the moment it's working for them. Unfortunately, they just give away the ball, hips not square at the base of the ruck. It's a golden opportunity for Wales.
Another forward pass, but referees happy with it. Wales on the attack.
Oh, great touch.
Spilled.
It's a really good defensive read there, getting out the line, putting the shove on. South Africa really do defend with their hearts. Throw themselves at absolutely everything. Oh, good option. Again, South Africa scrambled just well enough to shut Wales out. And if you're the South African coaches, you must be wondering, where was this morning?
Well, the conclusion has to be it's been some fantastic coaching from this morning to now, and also some fantastic learning from the players, taking on board those messages. Because as you say, it's been transformational. And South Africa really are looking good at the moment. They'll want another try while they're in the ascendancy, because you do suspect this Wales side, with the quality they have, will come back. And as I say that, South Africa deliver on that very request. Bontle Madeleine, I do apologise, with the score.
Yeah,
Bontle Madeleine.
The cut under is causing Wales all sorts of problems, and then the inside ball, defenders just not tracking. Inside ball is too good. South African player just able to dive on it and secure the score, and at the moment it is all South Africa. And Wales have got a real mountain to climb to get back into it, although look to go around the outside, but the pace just isn't quite there.
Yeah, 2-0 lead for South Africa. We've got about 7 minutes left in the half, 6.5 minutes really. What can Wales do? Well, I should ask you really, actually, you're the expert. What can Wales do?
So I would begin with the... So when Wales are in their transition, they're only really resulting in, you know, at best a touch on the line to be able to strike from, and it's because they're just running into the South African defenders. What I would look to do now is, as the rain, yes, it has been on and off all day, but there are opportunities to pass around the single shooters, and South Africa do it so well to Wales, and Wales probably should just take a leaf out of South Africa's book and start checking off around the single shooters. It'll save you touches, it'll make you meters, and then you're able to move into your attack with momentum, such as South Africa are doing. They look for the wide pass, has a beautiful flat ball out. Does she have the pace in the corner? Yes, she does. They are 3 to the good now.
2 tries for Kylie Barrow to give South Africa a 3-0 lead, and it's a lovely, well-worked try. They threw a risky pass over the top around here, but then the next pass flying in from Lola Grace Klingistra was absolutely fantastic, and Kylie Barrow with enough pace to finish it off, and it's a 3-0 lead for South Africa, and this has been a very, very tidy performance from South Africa so far in this first half here.
Yeah, credit the ball as well. The pass was perfect, exactly what it needed. Flat pass, efficient, A to B in the quickest way possible. And it means that you can put the speed merchant out in space. And South Africa are able to just keep Wales out consistently. Wales at the moment looking for that long ball out to the winger, but the pace of the South African players is just too much. They're able to track across, cut out the space before the winger can get down in the corner. And Wales at the moment are really up against it. Oh, unfortunate. The confidence is flowing. They want to use the hands as much as possible. Even when it probably wasn't the right option, they want to back it. They want to go full length. Offside call. Wales get a repeat set of 6, and it's these sets you really need to make the most of.
Crucial moments for Wales. 3.5 minutes left in the half. Could really do with a score.
Yeah, South Africa just pushing them back. Wales are way beyond the 7 now, and if South Africa keep putting the press on, they will push them even further back. I think the link was called offside. Wales looked to recycle the play, but the South African winger dives across and makes the intervention. And it's just that physical nature, the physicality, the athleticism of the South African side is bailing them out of the slight holes that they put themselves in. Wales just not doing enough to really test it.
A long period this though of Welsh possession and territory, but unfortunately for Wales, they just can't make anything of it, and they turn that one over for South African possession, and what's going to be a fairly easy exit this for South Africa, who get themselves beyond halfway on just 2 touches. And now the confidence just flowing, although they've made a couple of slow changes, and then has that been called forward? No, it hasn't. I thought for a moment.
No, I think she called for hips, not square. Yeah, hips, not square. As she dumped the ball. Probably a good call.
So Wales in a reprieve from what could have been a very promising South African position. Now it's Wales who just need the players to get on a little faster, and because they were arriving under the cosh a bit, the ball goes loose and it's back in South African hands. We're seeing possession go back and forth at a rate of knots at the moment. South Africa therefore just keep it tight and up the jumper, almost just going straight, but now their old nemesis has come back to haunt them. They just cannot get the players on the field, and sometimes you just perhaps have to go, now's not the time. Let's keep the players on. They've rescued the situation fairly well though. They may yet find an opportunity. They are going to find an opportunity. Well, how to recover a bad situation. Just go and ask South Africa. Kylie Barrow gets her hat-trick. It looked as though they just got themselves all at sea, but somehow in the confusion they find a way, and Kylie Barrow sends through the hat-trick, and it's a 4-try advantage for Wales.
Yeah, and it's just superb recycling. They were in a really big hole, half stood, isolated. No players on the pitch around her. She just buys her time, checks the ball off. They use the pace to whip it round the outside, and yeah, the recycle is just too much for Wales. And I think this is the first time we've seen a Wales side really struggle against their opposition.
I should of course say it's a 4-try advantage to South Africa, not Wales. But fortunately, you've all got the score in front of you, so you know what the situation is. Ignore the big scoreboard you can see in the back right-hand corner of your screens. That's incorrect.
Clock's wrong, score's wrong.
In fact, score's just become right, but there we go. Clock's definitely wrong, I'll tell you that much. We're in the final few moments before half-time. Around about 10 seconds left until the hooter goes. And Wales, well, the score before half-time would be crucial, but they just take the touch, and that's that. And Wales go in at the half-time break, 4-0 down against South Africa. South Africa have been playing the best we've seen of them on pitch one, that's for sure, but very well in the overall context of the competition as well. Wales with a bit of work to do. They'll be looking to score nice and early in the second half to set up a chance of a comeback, but as it stands at half-time, it's South Africa 4, Wales 0.
Ladies and officials, Tuesday morning, ladies and officials, Tuesday morning. officials, this is your 30-second warning.
Players and officials, 30-second warning. Please take to the field or ready to play.
Just about ready for the start of the second half. Both sets of players have been on the field for a while. I think the task at hand is fairly obvious for both. More of the same from South Africa, and for Wales, sharpen up that tack
Players and officials,
and get on the
stand by.
scoreboard early, really.
Yeah, definitely. Wales really need the first score of the half. If they can do that, then you can find the momentum and you can really come back from a 4-try deficit, especially in 20-minute halves. But South Africa just looked too fast for them in the first half. Wonder if we'll see more of the same.
South Africa with the early possession in their green shirts, Wales in black.
I've got to say that, even early doors, you see this ripping pass. You might not be able to pick it up on the live stream, but the rain is coming down, and ripping pass from right to left. The course girls of the South African girls are just superb. Superb.
Certainly are. Wales get across their box. It's a heavy coming together there.
Big contact as she wins the turnover as well. Superb shove there.
So South Africa have possession again, and almost from a tap-off situation, they progress towards their box.
Fresh legs need to get there. Slowly making their way onto the field. And like before, they'll have a touch. Oh, what a dive. For me, she's over. For the ref, she's over. What a dive from 7 out. Long and strong. Low to the ground, and you can't stop them.
Well, their inventor had one chalked off earlier on. She wasn't about to let this chance go begging. Diving full length from miles out. She's got springs in those feet. Gets herself across the line, and well, we said Wales needed to score first in the second half. The very opposite has happened. An early score for South Africa, and they've opened up a 5-score advantage now.
Yeah, South Africa just, we were saying at half-time, it just, credit to the coaches. There were things wrong with this South African team from the first game, but they've managed to fix it relatively seamlessly. And I don't even think you could convince me that this was the same team that we saw earlier. It is complete night and day.
Early morning
Oh,
kickoff is
she's
always
through.
hard, and South
She's
Africa
gone.
are going to be 6 up. Surely the chase is coming in. It's a strong chase, but she just arcs her run. And Kirsten Stead with the try. 2 in quick succession for South Africa. 6 in total. Kirsten Stead, no relation to John, getting the try. And South Africa are running rampant now.
Yeah, it's just superb recognition. Defence had turned their backs, and she's obviously got gas. Goes all the way through, shows a clean pair of heels, and doubles up for South Africa in this half. And it might be a little bit of a hard touch there, just wrapping the arm around. Nope, offside given. Regardless, Wales will have a fresh set of 6. And if you're Wales, you just want to test this South Africa line out. You want to be asking the right questions. At the moment, it's just a bit too easy for South Africa. Nice 32. They look to go long. Touch is made and ball is away. Referee calls touch and pass, and another brilliant defensive shot for South Africa. Oh, they call play on. Defence was offside, and they might go full length again.
Chase is good from Wales. Nicole Armstrong, sorry, Hannah Potgieter.
South Africa just taking a breather going backwards because none of their support was up.
That was a real case of on you go and finish it.
Yeah.
Wales chase. Impressive. South Africa make a couple of changes on defence. Still making them, but Wales have taken their time over getting this one going again, and it's allowed South Africa to make those changes. Rain is continuing to fall here, as it is, I'm told, at Old Trafford as well, so things ticking along over there.
Yeah, who needs to watch the cricket? We'll keep you updated on this live stream all day. All day. Kawaja gone, happy days.
I should imagine if it's raining here and it's raining at Old Trafford, it's probably raining at Hoylake as well for the Open Golf. Busy weekend of sport.
Should have 3 or 4 screens on. We could get it all broadcast from here.
Well, we've got Tour de France going on as well. That's going down, stage 19. 2 more days until they're along the Champs-Elysees. South Africa, 6 to the good, chasing a 7th. And almost, I'm tempted to say playing for time a little bit already. Now they stamp on the accelerator.
Yeah, I think they're just aware that they can go through the motions now. The spaces will come. And they can just sort of coast throughout the rest of this game. And it's something we've not really spoken about, is sort of that game management side, because, you know, this is a 4-day tournament, 40-minute games. People will be playing a lot of matches in consecutive days, and, you know, especially when you're comfortable in a game, you then don't want to risk things like injury, fatigue, you know, because this is only day 2. We've got 2 more full days to come. The last thing you want is when you're so comfortable in a game to have some unnecessary injuries, but in the same breath, you then don't want to take your foot off the gas too much and allow a team to come back in. It's a fine line to walk.
Wales run out of touches. South Africa will have possession again. Working upfield.
Yeah, transition is working a lot better. Really nice check off. Just has to get the ball down. Slows up to secure it. Good hands. This will be 5th coming now, so they've got 1 more to play with, but they don't quite recognise it. However, they get the penalty for offside, and they're able to have a fresh set of 6 and a crack at the line.
Real opportunity here to try and engineer a chance for their 7th score. It has been, so far, a wonderful display from South Africa. Good hands just to check back and retrieve that pass that had gone slightly behind. Move out to the wide channel to a hat-trick scoring Kylie Barrow.
I've got to say, South Africa moved the ball from one side of the pitch to the other very nicely. Now they're driving at the line. It looks to check back on the inside. Ball just goes to ground.
That's just given blind.
I actually thought the pass to the wing could have been on. Instead opts to go back on the inside, and Wales force a turnover. And Wales just looking a little bit leggy as they drive up the box. Now injecting a bit of speed.
Real speed there.
Yeah, almost a lot of speed.
Fionn May-Edgell absolutely flying through. Unfortunately, the momentum's been stopped for a second. I think possibly while they found the mark. Fionn May-Edgell having a couple of exciting moments there in that passage of play.
Yeah, she seems to be the player that's going to inject some pace into the Welsh side. And this much improved South Africa transition starts to roll on, but they are static again. They're able to recycle and adjust. Got to scoop, got to go through. No touches to play with now. She was in space, just couldn't reel the ball into her grasp.
I think what I've noticed on the South African transition, to my uneducated eye, it kind of goes back to what you were saying about players needing to work hard to get off. It works well when players make that effort, but what they've had a couple of times is where players have come off in quite sort of tardy fashion, and it just means that the player coming on is having to wait and wait and wait, and you end up with a player isolated on the field, holding onto the ball with no one to give it to.
Yeah, and that's the problem is, you know, South Africa in the first half, the transition was perfect. They were working really hard to get off, to give their teammates a platform to go and strike. However, at the moment, because they are sort of coasting through the game and they've sort of checked down a gear since the first half, and now they're not working so hard to get off the pitch, that half is isolated. And you know, if Wales start to recognise that, what I do from a Welsh perspective is send one of my middles back early so she's onside as soon as that ball gets dumped, and then you flight the half, and you catch the half, and you force her to throw a pass that she doesn't want to throw, or you force her to try and step you, and then if you do make that touch, you get the turnover for half court.
As you make that point, I've just noticed behind you the lady who's been holding or waving a massive Springbok flag, but she's been doing so all game. She's a bit too far for us to get into shot, but many of you will have watched the coronation and remember Penny Mordaunt managing to hold that sword up in one position for what felt like hours on end. Well, this South African supporter down on the bottom right-hand corner is doing a very passable impression. She's had that thing aloft for nigh on half an hour now, and her arm's not wavered yet.
No, she's got better shoulder strength than me, that's for sure. Impressive. And you know what? The support for most of the nations here have been absolutely spectacular. You know, I mean, the French notably there, but the French are always out in force whenever the team's on. Whenever a French team's been on, Allez le Bleu is very, very easy to hear.
All I'm waiting for now is musical instruments to make their way to the touchlines. I'm thinking a drum and a trumpet would be good additions.
Oh, I mean, if we're doing it for the South Africans, then you've got to go for the vuvuzela, surely. I mean, it might cause havoc with the mics and the atmosphere, but the big vuvuzela, you can't beat it, in my opinion.
World Cup 2010.
What a time. Jabulani ball, havoc, absolute havoc. In my opinion, the best World Cup.
I remember day one of that World Cup. I was at university at the time, walking back from one of my lectures before the opening game of that World Cup, and all I could hear was, through every street that I passed, it was summertime, windows open, it sounded like a swarm of hornets just flying around. I was terrified. Got home into my house, and of course the football was on the TV, and finally the dots connected. It was the sea of vuvuzelas blaring out of everyone's TVs that I could hear.
I'm going to show my age now. I was in year 7 when that 2010 World Cup was on. I remember watching it in school thinking, what is that noise?
Well, that'd be why you think it's the best. We all think the early ones are the best.
Yeah.
World Cup 94 I thought was pretty good. Diana Ross missing that penalty, and Roberto Baggio for that matter.
Now there's some names. Baggio, what a player.
He certainly was.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, 7 on. Really good call there from Hebel, the far side referee, spotting the 7 on. Might still have 7 on. Nope. Very quick adjustment. South Africa turnover.
6-0 still to South Africa. Wales still to get on the score sheet. South Africa, ever since that 6th, they've sort of, I guess, adopted a kind of casual approach, haven't they? They're just biding their time, not using up any excess energy. And, I think we might have the double visor you've been speaking about appears to have made an appearance.
Yes.
I'm not entirely sure what we've got going on there. It's like a sort of...
It's like a duck's mouth.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like a bird with an open mouth, isn't it? I'm not quite sure what that's providing.
I love it. I love it.
A useful bucket, in effect, for the rain that's falling to fall into.
If this was over 18s, I'd be saying someone get her a pint. Superb fashion. We love it. If she goes and scores now with a double visor, it can't come off for the rest of the tournament.
I tell you again, you're playing fast and loose with the word "we" here. Fast and loose.
By the end of this tournament, everyone's going to think you love a good bucket hat.
They can think what they like. South Africa searching for a 7th, but not putting themselves under too much pressure to do so.
Yeah, just going through the motions now, South Africa. Not worried about playing too expansive, not worried about playing too fast. This is just one of them where you want to secure the victory, keep that 0 on the board, have that shutout. It does not happen very often. And then you're able to go home, you've done your job for today, you get ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, 3 more live games after this one for today's action. Starting first of all with a 4:45 game in the women's under-20s, and it'll be South Africa again in that. South Africa against the USA. Should be a well-supported game, you'd think.
If that 20 side can improve in the same way that this 18 side has, South Africa are really going to take it to USA. It is verging on unfathomable for me that this is the same side we watched earlier. The direction is so much better, the pace is so much better, they look so much more organised. And if both of the age groups are training together, then you can't help but feel that the under-20s will be improving in the same way. It's just been so good, this game, from South Africa. They've worked so hard for each other. They've got the scores that they deserved, and you know, the only thing the coaches will be asking now is you keep Wales to that 0.
Well, there's 4 minutes that South Africa have got to hold out. 4 minutes for Wales to find a try. Might have been a bit of space on the right-hand side if they could have got the ball there, but it was a testing pass. But as good a position as Wales have had for a little while now. South African defence is still just up like a rocket though, and Wales use up their 6, and South Africa will play out.
The engine on these South African ladies is so good, so good. You know, with three minutes to go till full time, and they're flying off the line in D, working so hard for each other, and still got the pace to go and drive down the box. I mean, that is a powerful touch there.
It's the most engaged transition that South Africa have had really since they scored their 6th try.
Oh, it just goes to ground.
Shabalala with that first goal for South Africa in that 2010 World Cup. I've just remembered.
Peter Drury.
Shabalala, forgot about that.
Super. What a goal that was as well, by the way. It might be the best opening goal to a World Cup in my memory for sure.
Absolute screamer.
Yeah.
I have been paying attention, I promise. I've not just been thinking about that for the last 10 minutes. It just popped into my head there.
Oh, what was it he said? Bafana, Bafana.
Yeah,
celebration for Africa. Oh, what a time, eh?
Shakira there with the World Cup song as well. One of the better ones, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm waving flag. That was an anthem over the South African World Cup.
What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive for these South African under-18 women as well. Huge transition from this morning's play. They were not at their best in their opener, but I'll tell you what, they have been at their best here. They've been clinical against Wales, and actually they've showed a real maturity in just basically shutting this game down in the second half.
Yeah, it's just a shame that there's a couple like hips not square calls coming in now, but I think it's just a little bit fatigue creeping in, and the South African ladies say no, they've done their job. 90 seconds to go. And if they can keep Wales to 0 and potentially add one more, I mean, you can take nothing but positives away from this game for South Africa.
Well, it's been a terrific performance. They'd love to close it out without conceding. And they're only about a minute away from doing so. Wales in possession though, and quite naturally they'd love a score of their own. But again, South Africa get their touches in. If they play their cards right, they might well be able to see this one out without Wales seeing much of the ball in any sort of a threatening position now. Wales do well though to get 3 touches in already and get a 4th there.
Oh, that's much better from South Africa. They timed the subs on so well and were able to get across. And because the pace is too much, they draw the penalty from Wales. And, you know, barring a handling error, Wales won't be able to touch the ball before the end of this game. South Africa look like they're desperate for one more.
Just a few seconds left now for South Africa, keeping the ball alive. Now they charge through, can they find some space? Touch comes in, the hooter blows. It's all over here. A fantastic victory for South Africa. Made such an improvement since their first performance. Those early morning cobwebs well and truly blown away.
Here she comes.
We're going to see trotting across in front of us in just a second the lady I was talking about earlier, who extraordinarily has had that flag above her head for the entirety of this game. An extraordinary feat of strength above all else as her team secure the 6-0 victory against Wales. A tough outing for Wales, but they came up against a South African side that were willing to concede absolutely nothing, and we have a shutout for the first time here on Pitch 1 on the live stream. 3 more games to go this afternoon here on the live stream at the Atlantic Youth Touch Cup, starting